Okay, so now that we've got our base badger, let's give him some clothing. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and made a sport coat for this guy, and it's actually not attached, so we can take this off just like you would an outfit on a paper doll. So we can change it. You can make sweaters, jackets, perhaps a nice little bowling shirt, whatever feels good to you. I'm going to show you how to make this sport coat. Okay, so the key with these is that in order for them to stay on, we have to add into the design these flaps that are going to tuck around his body to hold them in place. They won't show so much because they're on the inside of the badger, but from the outside, it will look like he's wearing his outfit. So this is where we're going to need that other piece that we cut off the back of the tube from the rest of the badger. If you don't feel like you have enough from that piece, you can also just start with another paper towel tube. But the key is to make it fit your badger. What we're going to do is we're going to need to trace the outline of the badger onto this tube. So what I'm going to do is we're going to cut this tube open. Okay, so just cut right down the middle. And now this is going to give us something we can wrap around the badger. Okay, so you kind of wanted to make sure that you're lining up pretty good. It's even on both sides. We're not going to cut it all the way down anyway because you want to have a little bit of his legs showing. You know, it's like when you wear those sweaters and it's all the way past here. We want to be able to show a little bit of his leg. Okay, so once you have it wrapped around your badger, what I'm going to do is spread him open and trace with the pencil the outline of his feet and belly. And where the back of his legs are. Okay, so I've traced along this edge here and along the belly piece here. You don't really need, you shouldn't really have it covering above the ears because it doesn't really need to cover his face. Okay. So once I've done that, that gives me an outline. I don't know if you can see it real well. Let me trace that in black marker so you can see it. I've done the tracing in pencil and now I'm just going to outline it on here so that you can see what I have traced. And I might have a little bit of an issue here where I haven't left enough around his front arm. That'll probably be okay because it's still overlapping his arm a bit. But now that I've got that laid out, I want to plan in some tabs for it. I've cut it kind of close here, so I don't really have room for the front tabs here on the badger. So I'll have to just rely on the tabs underneath. So in order to create those tabs, what we're going to do is we're only going to cut along the sides of the belly part here and leave this attached. Okay, so I've cut, and now this will become a flap that I'm going to fold inward. Okay, so this flap is going to wrap around the bottom part of the badger to hold his jacket on. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I've loosened his feet. Just going to fold that in. So those are going to be the two flaps that are going to hold the jacket onto the badger. I still have all of this material in the back here, and so what I'm going to do is I know that his tail comes out right here, so I'm going to shorten the jacket slightly so that it's not fully covering over his butt. And I'm going to start out at that back foot, and I'm just going to cut inside from that line around to the other foot. Okay, so now we're gonna try it on for size. I'm just gonna wrap it around the badger, tucking those edges around his waist. Okay, so that's how it's gonna hold it onto him. So now looking at it now, it's covering up his back feet, and maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want it to just be a shorter jacket. So I'm gonna draw that, and I'm actually gonna bring the edge of the jacket back here. I'm gonna draw it in the marker so you can see, but you can do it in pencil, to about the point where I want it to stop, and then I'm gonna trace that edge over to here on the other side. Okay, so now I've laid out where the coat edge will fall on the back of him. So you can see on here it overlaps the back leg, but it doesn't wrap around the back leg. Okay, now that I've laid that out, I'm going to take it back off my badger. And cut along that line. Again, you're leaving the flap here that wraps around his belly. You're just cutting from that flap and then along the back edge and then along that back foot. So you still have your flaps, but now you have an edge to your coat. All right. So to give it a little bit more personality, right now this is just a straight edge across there, so it meets the back of his neck very bluntly. I'm going to give that a little bit of a curve so it looks more natural. I'm only coming in maybe a 1/4 inch down from it. I'm going to show you here with the marker here. So this is the curve I've added to it, and I'm going to cut that piece out. I want to stay away from the sleeves of the jacket, but this is just going to give it a little bit of a collar. Okay, so you can kind of see it's looking like a t-shirt maybe. Okay, I'm going to put it back on the badger so you can see what that looks like. Just squeezing everything into place. Okay. So you can see how this gives him some breathing room around the collar, and we have a nice curve here at the back for the bottom of the suit coat. He's got some sleeve action happening here and here. So now we're ready to decorate this so that it looks like a coat. Okay, so I'm going to take it back off. This is where my colored markers come in. I like the look of this kind of suede brown coat, so you're welcome to do that, or you can really make him flashy. So I'm gonna, because I already have a brown coat on this one, I'm gonna go ahead and make him, let's see, maroon and teal, so it'll be really flashy. So I'm gonna use the maroon to make the lapel part of it. So to do that, I'm just tracing around the edge of the collar. And then when I get down here, I'm going to make it have a lapel edge. So it's kind of like a little wing horn look to it. And the same thing on the other side. Okay, and then I'm just going to fill that in. Then I'm also going to give the sleeves a little bit of an edge, just like a cuff. Okay. And now This guy's got some stripes, which I think really gives it some flair. So what we're gonna do is I can use a ruler or you can freehand it. I'm gonna just start out on either side of the middle and draw 2 lines right next to each other. To make that pinstripey look. They're radiating out a little bit. Because he's squatter in the back edge than he is up front. Okay, and I'm just going to repeat those twin sets of lines across the rest of the coat. I'm moving just about 1/8 of an inch away. I'm just eyeballing it. It's not real important. Okay. I'm going to repeat that on the other side. And you can do this with colored pencils. It doesn't have to be markers. The marker takes to the cardboard really well, but you could do it with crayons. You could do it with chalk if you really wanted to. You'll just be careful because you'll get like chalk on your hands. And it doesn't have to be Sharpies either. Washable markers work great. Whatever you have on hand. Okay. So now I've got my stripes. And I'm just going to give them a little texture. So I'm just going to draw little hash marks. Just like that. And I'm going to repeat it on every stripe. Okay, so now I've got the pinstriping laid out. Now to give it some color, I'm going to switch over to my turquoisey teal. And I don't have to fill it in entirely. I'm just going to give it some swoop, 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 swoop. You could get really fancy with this if you wanted. Make it plaid or argyle. So I'm just coloring it in. And running that down the sleeve as well. All the way up to that cuff. Okay. Now, you could also consider giving him some elbow patches. He doesn't quite have the same articulation, so I'm going to put him kind of on the armpit here. And I'm just drawing like a Pac-Man around that corner edge there. If you're worried about the edge of that showing, you can either put it back on him and color it in, or just kind of bring some color over that edge. Okay, so now I've got a basic coat for him. I can go ahead and put it back on the badger. Making sure to tuck those flaps in underneath his belly. Looks like he's ready to go bowling, actually. Okay. And then to add the final little detail, we're going to take another piece of cardboard and we're going to add this stripe to it. So for that piece, I've just got some leftover pieces from cutting things out. I'm just going to measure a strip. Let's see, this is good actually. It's nice if you can use a piece that already curves along with the flow of it. Like this will be a good one. So I'm just going to cut out a strip. And then round the edges. Make it maybe about an inch and a quarter long. So you're going to end up with this long ovally piece like that. And we're going to put that across the back, and that will be our little, I'm not even sure what they call it, but it's usually like a piece across the back of a coat. It's either decorative or it helps like cinch it in. And so to accent it from the rest of the pattern, I'm going to come back in with my burgundy color, and I'm going to make a nice top stitch around the edge. Okay, so I just made a dashed line around the edge. I'm going to color in this, I might put a couple little heavier marks, like an equal sign almost in the middle. Will be another like stitching mark. Then I'm going to come back in with my teal, color that in inside that top stitch line. Okay. And now this is also going to be a nice spot to add any of those little detail pieces that you've managed to dig up around the house. So for this guy, let's see, I've got these little coppery colored beads. So I'm going to get my glue back out. I'm going to glue this little coat detail to the back here. Okay, so I just glued that on there. And now I'm going to add my little buttons. And now, Badger is all dressed up and ready for a picnic with friends. In the next video, I'll show you how to make a pair of eyeglasses for him and some other little accessories.